Guys, if you are a pickleball coach or instructor looking to grow your business, but you haven't got your first paid client yet, most likely you've worked with people, friends, but you have trouble in this transition to being paid. In this video, I'm going to be covering what's actually happening and how to move through it. My name's Simon Lovell, founder of Picklepreneurs. I specifically help coaches, clubs, grow and scale their businesses. And this actually comes from a conversation today inside my Picklepreneurs Mastermind. I was working with a student, and I've done this multiple times. This is actually very common, where you even have people saying that they're enjoying and they've got the benefit of working with you, but you just haven't been willing to be asked to be paid yet. And maybe what's happening, just like in the case of the student, which is he's focusing on things like his website and his, putting packages together, and he's doing a lot of work to plan, to get everything right. But what that's doing, and this is what I challenged him on, was it's avoiding the actual thing which needs to happen, which is just playing with people and then being willing to ask to be paid. So my question to him was this, which is what I want to pose to you, which is, what's the fear? Now, in his case, the fear was and is, I'm not a good enough player. And so when I hear that, the question that I go back to him on is that true? Because what we need to actually do is understand that the statement that we're making in our head of, I'm not a good enough player, I'm not ready yet, as an example, it's a form of self-sabotage, but something that we just need to challenge. So the next question is to him and to you, which is that true? And what that does is it helps you to actually sit with it and challenge it. And so then you can actually go, no, it's actually not true that I'm not a good enough player. And so then what we actually have to do is stack all of the reasons why we are a good enough player to, for example, work with beginners. Now, in his situation, he actually was getting caught up on just one part of his game, and then thinking to himself that he needs to do all this stuff, and then when I do that, then I can go and start to get paid. Now, this is also very common in the fitness space, and this is actually happens with personal trainers, because I worked in that industry for a long time. And this is what can happen, which is you get the next course and the next course and the next course, and you don't end up doing anything with it, because you're constantly seeking this point of which essentially you think that you're going to give yourself permission to go and get paid, where actually you just need to unpack the thought process, you need to challenge it, and start to not focus on the worst case scenario. Because what the mind does is it's thinking of everything that can go wrong. What if I work with a student and I pay them, they pay me rather, and they challenge me, right? What if they start spreading these things on social? And a lot of this is actually subconscious, but maybe it's based on something that you've experienced in the past. And so what you do is you go into this avoidance of asking to be paid, right? So actually what we also need to do is get our mind into a positive outcome. And that's actually, you have to excuse me, the helicopters are going by. I'm here in Coronado, so it's all military. There's always, like, every couple of minutes or so, there's some military helicopter going by. So it's actually relatively easy to start to get our mind into the positive scenario. And actually, me personally, I can tell you a story of this. So I used to have big social anxiety, and so I found out that improv was a really good thing to help me with that. But I was always focused on, going to an improv class, which is comedy essentially, and thinking that I'm just going to be embarrassed and people are going to laugh at me, and that stopped me from going. So what I actually needed to do was get my mind into the outcome of me leaving rather, and people saying that that was great. But what our mind does is it likes to protect us, and that's where the self-sabotage comes in, of the thoughts of something going wrong. So I need you, if you're in this situation yourself, I need you to get your mind into people leaving, telling their friends that it was great, and stacking that, and more and more. And I know it sounds a bit wild that you need to train your brain to do it, but understand that this is the same thing that happens to someone that's heard about pickleball, but in their mind, they're like, yeah, but you have to do racket sports, and I'm going to get laughed at when I'm on the court. Now, that they're going to be okay, but they don't feel safe right? And so there's a lot of people right now who want to play, but they're caught up in their own mind. And so you actually do that when you help people, but you also maybe are suffering from that when it comes to the sales piece. Now, the other thing which you might get caught up on, which is pricing, how much to charge for that. And so what you want to do is you want to find a number for you that feels right. Yes, on my channel, I recommend a certain starting point of $50 and all this, but for him, $40 was a place where he felt like that was a good place to start. All right. So find the number that's right for you, that feels good for you. And instead of building up this whole big thing in your mind, or even the business, and it's going to have all these things built in, what resonated with him was me using the phrase of breaking the seal. Breaking the seal of the first sale. It doesn't matter how much it is. It can be $1, it can be $10, it can be $20, but you being willing to ask for the payment, okay? Especially, if you're doing free sessions and then upselling to paid sessions is great, but also if you've done quite a few free sessions and people are saying that's great, that's a great sign for you to be actually asking to be paid, all right? Now, in my experience this year, again, this is common, okay? It's common with the people who have been featured on my channel that are now making over 10,000 a month. It's common with those in the Pickleball Mastermind, and most likely it might be something that you are troubled with, which is why what I'm going to be doing is putting together a process, okay, where you can actually get your first paid client, and I'm actually going to guide you through up until the point that you do that. And here's why: because I know that by doing that, when that seal is broken, you will be off because your confidence will build. But what you need is the affirmation that people are happy, not with just the lesson, but what your mind needs is to know that they're happy with the lesson and the fact that you've been paid for it. Because it's one thing to know that someone was happy when you did it for free, but it's another thing for you to need to know, whether that's conscious or subconscious, that someone is happy with the session who paid for it. And so me guiding you through until it happens, whatever that takes, whether that's mindset challenges or pricing challenges, I'm going to be guiding you until you get that first sale, okay? Now, if you're interested in this, comment below with first sale or first student, okay? Let me know in the comments if you're interested in that, and I'll send you the details, because I understand that this is actually very common. I've had this in the past. I'm talking to more and more pickleball coaches and instructors, and this is the sad thing, which is people get really stuck on this and they don't end up growing a business because they don't break that first seal. If this resonates with you, and the fear resonates with you, and the self-sabotage resonates with you, comment below, let me know. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button, and I will see you in another video to help you have an amazing 2025 growing your pickleball business. I'll see you soon.